I woke up choking on someone else's vomit, my new skin sagging like wet cardboard, and the first thought that sliced through the haze was, they did it. They finally fucking did it. Not just killed me, erased me, swapped me out like a faulty hard drive. And right then, as sirens wailed in the distance like the city's mocking laugh, I decided I'd burn their perfect little world down from the gutter. My name was Ariana Voss. Or it used to be. 32. Sharp as a stiletto. Climbing the ladder at Vanguard Financial in downtown Chicago, mid-level exec. The kind who crunched numbers for the Sharks while dreaming of her own corner office. I had the husband, the brownstone in Lincoln Park, the designer handbag that screamed, I've made it. But that life?
Gone. Stolen.
By the two people I trusted most, my husband, Derek Hale, golden boy senator-in-waiting with his Ivy League smile and skeletons rattling in the closet, and my best friend since college, Lila Grant, the sleek corporate attorney who whispered secrets in my ear over $18 martinis. It started 6 months ago, though I'd been too blind to see the rot. Derek's campaign for Illinois State Senate was hemorrhaging cash, dark money from lobbyists he'd promised to expose, funneled into offshore accounts to keep his reformer image shiny. Lila knew. Hell, she was the one greasing the wheels, drafting the shell companies that hid the trail. But when the feds started sniffing around after an anonymous tip mine, because I loved the bastard enough to try saving him, they needed a fall guy. Someone to take the heat, sign the fall stocks, and vanish quietly. That someone was me. They drugged my wine at our anniversary dinner, Lila's special vintage, laced with enough Rohypnol to drop an elephant. I woke up strapped to a gurney in some black site clinic on the outskirts of the city, the kind of place where billionaires buy new faces and oligarchs swap organs. The doctor, a weaselly fuck named Dr. Elias Crow, explained it like he was reading a takeout menu, neural mapping, consciousness transfer via experimental nanotech. It's reversible, he lied, his breath smelling of stale coffee and moral decay. But your body's compromised. Better this way. Compromised. That's what they called it when they pinned the embezzlement on me, $2.3 million siphoned from client trusts. My digital signature forged on every transfer. My suicide was staged, a note on my laptop blaming the stress. My brownstone torched just enough to char the evidence. But instead of letting me swing from the chandelier, they upgraded. Derek's idea, whispered in boardrooms over scotch, why waste a good body? Lila's mind, sharp, ruthless, slipped into mine like a virus. Ariana Voss lives on, they said. The perfect cover. The new her would run for office beside Derek, the grieving widow turned powerhouse, while the real me rotted in the husk of Marnie Kowalski, a 58-year-old homeless alcoholic who'd washed up DOA in the clinic's basement morgue. I blacked out again after the swap, the pain like lightning forking through my skull. When I came to, it was in Marnie's flophouse cot, reeking of piss and regret, her gnarled hands, my hands now, clutching a half-empty bottle of Night Train. The mirror in the cracked bathroom showed a stranger, sallow skin etched with decades of hard living, gray-streaked hair matted under a knit cap, eyes bloodshot but mine fierce, unyielding. I retched until my ribs ached, then laughed. A wet, broken sound. Because in that moment, staring at the ruin they'd condemned me to, I knew revenge wasn't just a word. It was oxygen. The first week was survival, pure animal instinct. Marnie's body was a wreck, liver shot from the booze, knees grinding like gravel, a hacking cough that tasted like rust. I scavenged dumpsters behind the Loop's delis, panhandled on Michigan Avenue where tourists averted their eyes like I was a glitch in their Instagram feed. But Ariana Voss didn't beg, she planned. By day 3, I'd pawned Marnie's tarnished wedding ring for $47 and bought a burner phone from a bodega clerk who didn't ask questions. Internet access was my lifeline, public library, Wi-Fi, where I lurked in the shadows of the stacks, piecing together the media blitz. Ariana Voss. Tragic loss amid financial scandal, the Chicago Tribune blared. My face, Lila's in my skin, plastered everywhere. Tear-streaked at a press conference. Derek's arm around her waist like a prop. Devoted wife and mother-to-be. The headlines cooed. Because, of course, they'd planted the pregnancy story for sympathy points. Mother-to-be. That knife twisted deepest. We've been trying for a year. Now Lila carried our future, puppeteering my life like a goddamn ventriloquist. I dug deeper, cross-referencing public records and leaked emails from the dark web forums I'd bookmarked in my old life. The betrayal wasn't just financial, it was biblical. Derek hadn't just stolen the money, he'd covered up a hit-and-run from his college days. A pedestrian mangled on Lakeshore Drive. The victim's family silenced with hush money that ballooned into the slush fund. Lila? She'd been the driver. Drunk on daddy's connections. Her family's old money law firm burying the case. They'd framed me for the embezzlement to launder the blood money. And when I got too close, sniffing irregularities in the accounts during a late-night audit, they decided erasure was cleaner than explanation. Nights blurred into fever dreams, Marnie's memories bleeding into mine like ink in water. Flashes of a deadbeat husband, a daughter lost to foster care, endless winters under the L tracks. I hated her for the weakness, but pitied her enough to quit the bottle cold. Detox was hell, sweats that left me shivering in alley doorways. Hallucinations of Derek's face morphing into a jackal's grin. But clarity came like a drug. I knew their routines. Derek's 6 a.m. jogs along the lakefront. Lila's power lunches at RPM Steak. The clinic schedule. 2 Crow ran transfers on Tuesdays. Prepping for the next elite client. My first move was reconnaissance. I stole a hoodie from a church donation bin, layered it over Marnie's threadbare coat, and tailed them from the shadows. Chicago's winter bit like a feral dog. Wind whipping off the lake. But I was invisible, a bag lady shuffling through the elite's periphery. I watched Lila and me laugh at Derek's jokes in a corner booth. Her hand, my hand, on his thigh under the table. The urge to shatter the glass and drag her out by the hair was visceral. But I swallowed it. Patience. That's what separated predators from prey. By week 2, I'd hacked the first thread. Marnie's body had a silver lining. Nobody noticed her. I slipped into the public library's genealogy room. Used a forgotten terminal to fish Crow's credentials. Basic stuff. Password, Elias 1972 because villains are lazy. His emails spilled like guts. Invoices for the nanotech from a Cayman Shell Corp. Notes on Voss transfer. Success. Subject compliant. Compliant. I forwarded copies to a ghost email. Timestamped for later. But revenge needs teeth. I needed leverage, something to make them sweat. To crack that porcelain facade. That's when I remembered the vault. Vanguard's high-security deposit room. Where the Real dirt lived, client files, blackmail tapes, the kind of intel that could topple empires. Derek had access. Of course. As my grieving spouse cleaning up affairs. And there was a glitch I discovered pre-swap, a backdoor in the biometric lock. A $100,000 wire transfer timer that auto-aborted if the wrong code pinged during off hours. It was meant for emergencies, but in the wrong hands, a kill switch for dirty money. I plotted it like a heist movie, the kind Scorsese would direct. Gritty, no heroes. I'd pose as maintenance, snag a uniform from a dry cleaner dumpster, slip in after hours. The timer was the hook, trigger it remotely via Crow's compromised server. Force Derek to scramble. They'd lock me out.
Sure.
But I'd be waiting with the abort code, holding their empire hostage for 60 seconds. One move. That's all it took to stop the bleed. The night came fast, sleet hammering the streets like judgment. I crouched in the alley behind Vanguard Tower, heart pounding in Marnie's frail chest, the stolen janitor's badge clipped to my overalls. The building loomed, glass facade reflecting the city's neon veins. I swiped in through the service entrance, pulse steady, breath fogging the air, and rode the freight elevator to sublevel 3. The vault door hummed, green light flickering as I fed the backdoor code. Ariana, override, 47. It was sentimental, stupid even. Our wedding date. Alarms didn't blare. Not yet.
Inside.
The air was sterile, rows of safe deposit boxes gleaming under LED strips. I jacked into the terminal, fingers calloused, trembling, flying over keys. The transfer script loaded, $100,000 dummy wire to a burner account, Derek's signature embedded. I hit execute. The timer started, 0:59. 0:58. Panic rippled through the system logs almost immediately. Motion sensors pinged upstairs, Derek's private line lighting up the network. I imagined him in his penthouse. Tie loosened. Phone to ear. What the fuck? Lock it down. Lila's voice. Cool as ever. It's her ghost. Or some hack. Seal the vault. They locked her out in panic, the digital her. The one they'd buried. The outer doors slammed shut virtually. Firewalls rising like iron bars. But I was already inside. Physical and phantom. 0:30. My move, a single line of code, buried in the abort sequence. It wasn't deletion, it was revelation. Every keystroke logged their access. Derek's late-night pulls on the hit-and-run file. Lila's annotations on the frame job. The timer hit 0:10, and I whispered into the mic I'd rigged from a gum wrapper and wire. Tick-tock. Loves. Remember me? Sirens wailed for real now. CPD en route on a fabricated bomb threat. My anonymous tip. I slipped out the emergency hatch, overalls shed in a trash chute, back into the sleet as Marnie. The $100,000 froze mid-transfer. But that was the appetizer. The real feast was the data dump I triggered. Emails, ledgers, the swap logs forwarded to every major outlet. Chicago woke to scandal the next morning. Senator Hale's skeletons dragged into the light. His widow unmasked as the puppeteer. But they didn't go quiet. Derek lawyered up. Lila vanished into witness protection spin.
Me?
I holed up in a South Side motel. The kind with hourly rates and roaches the size of fists. Nursing Marnie's cough with black market antibiotics. The news cycle was a circus. Pundits debating if it was deepfake or divine justice. MAGA Twitter calling it a lib hit job. Blue-check liberals decrying the invasion of privacy. I watched from a cracked TV. Anonymous triumph burning in my gut. Revenge Phase 2. Personal. I tracked Crow to his lakeside cabin. A McMansion disguised as rustic charm. Broke in at dawn. Zip tied him to his Adirondack chair while he burbled excuses. It was Hale. He paid triple. I leaned in close. Marnie's breath ragged on his face. Tell me how to swap back. He did. Eventually, after I described, in detail, what I'd do to his prized sailboat with a blowtorch. The reversal serum, hidden in his wine cellar, unstable. 50 to 50 odds. But odds were for suckers. Injecting it was suicide or salvation. I drove to the clinic that night, the serum burning in my pocket like contraband fire. The ore was empty, machines humming like dormant beasts. I prepped the rig myself, 4-drip, neural cap strapped in, and hit start. Agony revisited. Worse, memories fracturing, Marnie's despair crashing against my rage. I flatlined twice. The monitors beep a dirge. Before jolting back. The mirror showed.
Me? No.
A hybrid horror, my eyes in Marnie's face. Or, vice versa. The swap held. Incomplete. But it was enough. Power surged. I felt the nanites realign. A backdoor into their connection. From there, it escalated. I infiltrated Lila's therapy sessions, hacked her Zoom, whispering as the ghost during blackouts. You stole my womb.
Bitch.
How's the morning sickness? She cracked first. Pills and paranoia. Derek finding her catatonic in our old bed. He rallied. Of course, pressers denying conspiracy theories, but the polls tanked. I leaked the hit-and-run victim's name, Jamal Ruiz, a black teen whose family still grieved in Pilsen. The streets erupted, protests outside Derek's office. Justice for Jamal trending like wildfire. The climax brewed at his primary debate, the Athenaeum Theater packed with donors and doubters. I bought a ticket with forged creds, sat front row in a blonde wig and off-the-rack suit. Lila flanked him on stage, my body swollen with lies, her eyes darting like cornered prey. Midway through his opener, Chicago deserves better than corruption, I triggered the final hack. The Jumbotron flickered, not slides, but truth. Grainy clinic footage of the swap. My screams dubbed over. Crow's emails scrolling like credits. The $100,000 timer replay. My voiceover. They locked me out. But I stopped the clock.
Chaos.
Gasps. Shouts. Derek's face blanching to ash. Lila bolted. Heels clattering. But security swarmed. I stood. Slow. Shedding the wig to reveal Marnie's snarls. Hello, husband. The room froze. Then exploded, cameras flashing. Aides tackling me as I laughed. Raw and unhinged. They dragged me out in cuffs. But the damage was nuclear. Derek's campaign imploded live. Lila confessed in a squad car, babbling about the other her. Trial was a media-feeding frenzy, venue in federal court. Spectators betting on the body swap bombshell. Prosecutors painted me the victim. But my testimony? Pure venom. I detailed the betrayal in lurid strokes, the affair I'd suspected but ignored. The nights Lila spent in our bed, while I worked doubles. She didn't just take my face, I told the jury, voice steady despite Marnie's tremor. She took my future. My child. Gasps rippled, the gallery divided, feminists cheering my sisterhood reckoning, tradcons decrying the unnatural tech as God's wrath. Derek took the stand. All pathos. I loved Ariana.
This.
Imposter destroyed us. But cross-exam shredded him, his browser history of swap clinics. Wire transfers to Crow. Lila folded faster. Plea deal for immunity. Spilling how they'd chosen Marnie's body for its disposability. No one would look for a drunk. The judge, a grizzled vet named Harlan, eyed me like a puzzle. MS. Voss or Kowalski, you've endured the unthinkable. But justice isn't vengeance. My decisions? Controversial as hell. I could have gone corporate witness, cashed in on a book deal. Instead, I torched the clinic myself, gasoline and matches post-trial, before the feds could seize the tech. For the ghosts, I whispered as flames licked the sky. Arson charge pending. But public opinion? Split. Hero or madwoman? Protests chanted my name outside the jail. The twist hit like a gut punch. Months into my stint at Cook County Solitary. For safety. A visitor, not Derek, disbarred. Facing 20 to life. Not Lila, inpatient psych. Catatonic. Crow. Out on bail. Smirking through the glass. You think you won? Check the fine print. He slid a USB under the slot. Footage. Time-stamped pre-swap. Me. In the audit room. Not flagging errors, but authoring them. My signature. Real this time. On the first embezzle transfer. Derek's voiceover. Pleading. Ari. Help me bury this. For us. The reversal. I wasn't the innocent. The affair? I'd known. Encouraged it even, Lila, as alibi while I siphoned my cut, dreaming of bolting to Belize. The frame? Mutual. We'd planned the swap as escape. But Derek double-crossed, dosing me solo to keep the full pot. Lila took my body to tie off loose ends.
But
I'd volunteered Marnie's husk, scouting her in AA meetings for the perfect patsy. The crime I'd suffered? Karma's boomerang. I shattered the visitor phone against the wall, shards drawing blood from Marnie's palms. Hero? Villain? Or just another Chicago schemer? Undone by greed? The papers ran the swap that swapped truth, debates raging on Fox and MSNBC. Was body tech the devil's toy? Or evolution's edge? Did I deserve the cage? Or the key? Release came on appeal, insanity plea, reduced to time served. I walked out into a gray dawn. No fanfare. Just the L rumbling overhead. No brownstone. No Derek. No child. Just me. A patchwork soul in borrowed skin. Heading south on I-90. Happy ending? Bullshit. Tragic? Maybe. But as the skyline shrank in the rear view, I felt the weight lift, not absolution, but freedom. They'd locked me out, panicked and blind. But that one move, it stopped more than a timer. It reset the goddamn game. And if they ever come looking, I'll be waiting. With a new face. And no mercy left to give. The road south blurred into a monotonous gray. Illinois flatlands giving way to Indiana's Rust Belt scars. Then Ohio's skeletal factories looming like forgotten gods. Marnie's old Chevy pickup, seized from the impound lot with a forged title and $200 grease, rattled like it was coughing up its last lung. I drove with one hand on the wheel, the other clutching a styrofoam coffee from a pilot truck stop, bitter as regret. The radio droned NPR retrospectives on the Voss affair, experts dissecting my moral ambiguity like I was a lab rat. Was Ariana Voss a feminist icon or Frankenstein's monster? One shrink opined. I switched to classic rock. Springsteen's gravelly howl about highways and ghosts fitting the mile markers too well. Freedom tasted like ash. The appeal had hinged on duress, Derek's coercion. The serum side effects scrambling my synapses into diminished capacity. Psych eval painted me sympathetic. PTSD. Identity dysphoria. The works. Harlan signed off with a warning. Don't make me regret this. MS. Kowalski. I hadn't. Not yet. But the USB's truth gnawed. A parasite in my gut. I'd been complicit. Yeah, forging those first transfers in a haze of marital malaise. Derek's charm eroding into control. But the swap? That was his endgame. Not mine. I'd whispered doubts to Lila over wine. Her nodding like a conspirator. We'll flip it on him, she'd said. Lies. All of it. Sisters in arms. Until the blade turned. Kentucky welcomed me with rolling hills and Baptist billboards. Repent or burn. Irony thick as the humidity. I ditched the truck in Louisville. Traded it for a Greyhound ticket to Nashville under the name Ellen Price, Marnie's long-lost cousin from faded Polaroids. The bus smelled of diesel and desperation. Passengers a mosaic of America's underbelly, vets with haunted stares, moms juggling toddlers and totes, a tattooed ex-con sketching mandalas on a napkin. I claimed a window seat. Hood up. And let the rhythm lull me into fractured sleep. Dreams recycled the trial, flashbulbs popping like gunfire. Derek's eyes, betrayer's eyes, locking on mine across the courtroom. A flicker of
What? Pity?
or the ghost of love. Curdled? Nashville was reinvention, or as close as a body like this got. I crashed in a women's shelter off Broadway. The neon honky-donks mocking my exile with twangy anthems of lost love.
Daytimes.
I volunteered at a legal aid clinic, ironic, flipping files for the indigent. My law degree from Northwestern buried under Marnie's illiteracy. Nights. I haunted dive bars, nursing cokes while eavesdropping on Music Row whispers. The industry was a viper pit, producers preying on ingenues. Labels burying Me Too suits under NDAs. It reminded me of Vanguard, Power's underbelly, where betrayal bloomed like kudzu. Leverage found me, or I found it. A waitress named Tessa, mid-20s with fire engine hair and bruises hidden under sleeves, slipped me her number after I comped her coffee with a shelter coupon. You got that look, she said, eyes darting. Like you know what it's like to run. Her story spilled over greasy diner eggs. Ex-manager. Tommy Ray. A wannabe mogul who'd promised stardom. Then locked her in a contract clause that screamed trafficking light. Royalties siphoned. Gigs ghosted. Sounded familiar. I saw Derek's blueprint in it. Promise the dream. Steal the soul. We schemed in whispers. Tessa's demo tracks burning on a USB like contraband. I coached her, negotiation tactics from my exec days. Laced with street smarts, Marnie had osmosis. Hit M where it hurts, the wallet. We crashed Tommy Ray's showcase at the Bluebird Cafe. Me as her grizzled auntie. Tessa belting a cover of Jolene that hushed the room. Post-set. I cornered him in the green room. Marnie's growl low. Sign the release. Or your offshore slush fund hits the Tennessean tomorrow. Bluffed. Of course, no files. But his eyes widened like he'd seen Bigfoot. He signed. Quaking. Muttering about which bitches. Words spread in the shadows. Tessa's crew, disillusioned songwriters. Sideline session players, dubbed me the fixer. Passing gigs my way. Small stuff. Ghostwriting clauses for a fiddler divorce. Auditing a label's books for cooked royalties. Cash trickled. Enough for a studio apartment in East Nashville. Threadbare but mine. I dyed Marnie's hair black. Got a nose piercing to deflect stares. Started hormone blockers off-market to soften the edges. Not reversal, but reclamation. Ariana's mind in Marnie's frame, forging something fiercer. But ghosts don't stay buried. 6 months in. A postcard arrived, no stamp. Postmarked Chicago. Derek scrawl. We need to talk. The baby's coming.
Elle.
Lila. My body, rounding out with my future. Rage boiled, but curiosity won. I flew standby, cashing Tess's favor for the ticket, landing at O'Hare under a ball cap and shades. The meeting spot, our old brownstone, rebuilt post-fire, a phoenix of privilege. I buzzed the gate, heart hammering, and Lila answered. I answered, waddling in a silk robe, belly protruding like an accusation. You look preserved, she said, voice mine but inflection off, too polished, no husk. We sat in the living room, ghosts of arguments haunting the air. The nursery upstairs, half-painted blue, mocked us. She poured tea, chamomile, my favorite, and spilled, Derek and Supermax, rotting on RICO charges, but whispering appeals through lawyers. He says you're the key. That you hid the real ledgers. Lies. Probing for weakness. But her eyes, my eyes, crackled with fear. The swaps toll, migraines, phantom pains, whispers of Marnie's voice in her dreams. I leaned in, Marnie's knuckles white on the cup. Give it back. She laughed. Brittle.
Can't.
The serum's one way for donors. You're stuck.
Ari.
But the kid. It's yours. Genetically. The twist within a twist. During the mapping, they'd harvested my eggs. Implanted post-transfer. My DNA. Derek's seed. Lila's gestation. A Frankenstein heir. Join us, she pleaded. We fake your return, plastic surgery. Story of survival. Raise her as family. The offer hung. Controversial as sin. Reclaim my life. Bury the sins. Play mommy in the spotlight. Or walk. Let the child be Lila's puppet. I stood, slow, and touched her belly, my belly once. The kick inside was electric. A Morse code of what-ifs. Tell Derek, I whispered. The timer's reset. But this time, it counts down to 0. I left without violence. But the seed planted. Back in Nashville, I hired a PI, ex-cop named Ruiz. Jamal's cousin. Irony's gift. He dug Lila's prenatal records. Derek's prison comms. The baby was leverage. A ticking bomb of custody wars. Protests reignited, body swap baby trending. Ethicists decrying consciousness commodification. I leaked anonymized scans, fueling the fire. Lila cracked whiter. Tabloid shots of her unraveling. Therapy walks. Pill bottles paparazzi snapped. Phase 3. The reclamation. I sued for parental rights. Pro bono from Tess's legal eagle hookup, a firebrand named Simone who'd clerked under Harlan. Court, TV swarmed Cook County again. Me in an ill-fitting blazer. Marnie's cough punctuating testimony. This child carries my essence, I argued. Voice steady. Lila stole my vessel. She can't steal my legacy. Gasps. Applause. Harlan presiding with a sigh. Precedent's a bitch. Counselor. But blood quantum? In this tech age. Lila's side lawyered heavy. Psych reports deeming me unfit. Body dysmorphia as delusion. But the twist reversed again. Ruiz unearthed Crow's black book. Swaps for senators.
COs.
A roster of the damned. I bartered immunity for the list, flipping it to feds in exchange for expedited DNA. The judge ruled split custody pending birth. A Solomonic hack that split the nation, progress or perversion. Labor Day loomed like Armageddon. I drove north. Ruiz shotgun. The Chevy reborn with new tires. Chicago birthed a blizzard. Streets slick as deceit. At the hospital, private suite, paparazzi barricades, I flashed forged creds as family support. Lila screamed through contractions. Derek's hologram from prison coaching lame. I waited in the hall, Marnie's hands clasped, until the cry pierced. A girl. Evelyn Vosshale. They let me hold her first. Protocol be damned. My appeals leverage. Tiny. Wrinkled. Eyes like storm clouds.
Mine.
She knows. Lila rasped from the bed. Defeated. The swap. It lingers. I nodded. Rocking Evelyn. The weight settling like truth. No grand gesture. No swap-back miracle. Just a choice. Walk into the storm or fade. I faded. Southbound again. Evelyn's photo tucked in my wallet, a talisman.
Not chain.
Nashville waited. Tessa's crew a surrogate tribe. The debates raged on, podcasts parsing my abandonment, feminists hailing the boundary set. Happy?
No.
But free. In a skin that's scarred but standing. Derek rots. Lila mothers alone. The empire ash. And me, the fixer evolves. Next client, a Nashville exec with swap whispers. The game's eternal. But this time, I write the rules. Nashville's summer humidity clung like a bad conscience, turning the Cumberland into a swamp mirror for my fractured reflection. Evelyn's photo yellowed in my wallet. A daily ritual. Unfold at dawn in my shoebox apartment. Trace her tiny fist against the roach trail walls. 6 months post-birth, and the custody wars simmered to a dull roar, joint visits mandated. Supervised by social workers who eyed Marnie's frame like a threat. I drive up monthly. The I-65 a ribbon of regret, parking in hospital lots to avoid the press vultures. Lila played the part, poised, pained. My old power suits stretched over postpartum curves. She's teething, she'd say, handing over the bundle. Evelyn's gaze uncanny, accusatory, locked on mine, as if sensing the swap's echo. The visits were torture porn. I'd coo nonsense in a voice that's half Ariana's lilt, half Marnie's gravel, bouncing her on knees that creaked like old docks. Lila hovered, scripting small talk, Derek's appeals gaining traction. Evangelicals love a redemption arc. I'd nod, swallowing bile, plotting countermoves in silence.
The PI.
Ruiz. Fed me intel, Lila's therapy tapes, redacted but revealing. Nightmares of Marnie's rasp. Phantom itches where the nanites scarred. I feel her watching, she'd confess. Good. Let the guilt gnaw. Work kept the demons at bay. The fixer gig exploded post-trial. A underground network buzzing with Nashville's cast-offs, jilted artists, blacklisted roadies, even a country music hall of famer dodging alimony sharks. I operated from a backroom office above Tootsie's Orchid Lounge, the walls papered in NDAs and burner phones. Tessa managed front of house, her star rising with an indie label deal, my clauses ironclad. We took cases that smelled like Vanguard, power imbalances, buried secrets, the American dream's dark underbelly. One client hooked deep, Harlan Hank Whitaker, a steel-eyed producer who'd built half-mile records on broken backs. His daughter, Becca, 19 and doe-eyed, accused him of the swap, experimental enhancement, therapy that left her mind trapped in a starlet's body. Her original husk sold to a Dubai sheik. He said it'd launch my career, she whispered in session. Voice a lilting drawl that wasn't hers. Now I'm performing as Beck's tailor, and Daddy's cashing the checks. The tech? Crow's Ghost Network. Laundered through music royalties. I dove in. Marnie's anonymity my cloak. Posed as a roadie groupie at Hank's Viper Room bash. Spiked his bourbon with Truth Serum Light, over-the-counter benzos from a pharmacy runner. He babbled in the John. Access codes. Clinic remnants in Hendersonville. We raided at midnight. Becca and Tessa flanking. Me with a tire iron for emphasis. The server room hummed. Data vaults spilling swaps on A-listers, switched egos for youth. Voices for authenticity. I torched it all. Flames dancing like vindication. But not before downloading the motherlode, Hank's ledger. Linking back to Derek's campaign donors. The bust made waves, FBI swoop. Becca's tearful presser reclaiming her name. Nashville's scene fractured. Boycotts on half-mile tracks. Swap survivors trending with my old mug recycled. Lila called post-story. Voice edged. You're stirring shit again. Evelyn's getting questions at daycare. I hung up. But the hook sank. The baby's world. Tainted by my ripples. Controversial? Hell yes, ruining Hank freed Becca. But orphaned a dozen enhanced artists mid-career. Forums debated. Vigilante justice or reckless endangerment. Fall brought fever. Marnie's cough worsened. A wet rattle that landed me in Vanderbilt's ear. Pneumonia. Doc said. Lungs pickled from decades of smoke and sorrow. For drips and oxygen masks. Staring at fluorescent hell. I hallucinated Derek. Younger. Pre-betrayal. Proposing on Navy Pier with Ferris wheel lights haloing. We build something real. Ari. Lies. But the ache lingered. Ruiz visited. Grizzled face softening. Jamal would have liked you. Fought dirty. But for the right. His words stuck. A compass in the fog. Discharge papers in hand. I pivoted. Health over hustle. Quit the smokes Tessa smuggled. Started yoga in Centennial Park. Downward dog awkward in this frame. But it grounded. The visits shifted too. Evelyn's first words. Mama Mar. A mashup that broke me open. Lila watched. Jealous cracks showing. She senses it. The other you. I nodded. Feeding the girl pureed peas. Plotting less. Living more. But the network pulled. A tip on Crow's successor. A neurohack whiz in Atlanta peddling eternal youth to politicos. Road trip south. Evelyn's babble on speakerphone as co-pilot. Atlanta's sprawl swallowed me. Peachtree suburbs hiding tech bunkers. The clinic masqueraded as a wellness spa. Botox and facials veiling the ORs. I infiltrated as a client consult. Marnie's sob story, selling the desperation.
Dr.
Nadia Voss, no relation. But fate's joke, eyed me skeptical. Body dysmorphia? We specialize in upgrades. I played along. Wired for sound. Ruiz's team outside. The tour revealed horrors. Cryopods humming with donor husks. Monitors flickering transferred minds in limbo. Nadia monologued. Arrogance Mayan. Politicians love it. Swap into fitter forms. Dodge the Reaper. Your senator? Early adopter.
Derek.
She'd facilitated his prison upgrade. Mind into a guard's cousin. Body primed for escape. Rage ignited. I triggered the recorder. But Nadia lunged, scalpel flash. My arm slicing open. Blood welled. Marnie's thin veins no match. But I swung wild, connecting with her jaw. Alarms wailed. Feds breached. Ruiz's warrant. My leak. Cuffless this time. Hero's exemption. I watched Nadia zip-tied. Spitting venom. You think you're saving souls? This is progress. Becca's case linked. Swaps unraveling a congressional web. Backlash hit. Fox decried deep state overreach. Dems pushed bans on neural trafficking. My name trended again. The swap slayer strikes, with Evelyn's photo blurred in think pieces. Vigilante mom or menace? Winter closed in. Nashville dusted white. Lila petitioned full custody, citing my reckless exploits. Court loomed. Harlan retired. A newbie judge with tech phobia. I prepped with Simone. Evelyn's drawings taped to my fridge like talismans. The hearing was a circus. Lila in pearls. Me in thrift wool. Becca testifying remote. She gave me my life back. But the twist reversed cruel. DNA deep dive revealed chimerism. Evelyn's cells a mosaic. My eggs fused with Lila's in the transfer chaos. Whose child? The gallery whispered. Judge split the baby. Metaphors be damned. Shared 50-50. But with my stability clause, one more stunt.
And goodbye.
I folded. For Evelyn. Stepped back from the fixer front. Tessa taking reins. Days blurred. Park picnics with the girl. Her giggles thawing Marnie's frost.
Nights.
I wrote. Memoir drafts on a battered laptop. Unsparing. The complicity. The greed. The swap's seductive lie. Publishers circled. Smelling scandal. But I held out. Truth wasn't for sale. It was the revenge. Yet the pull lingered. A final tip. Derek's breakout. Mine swapped into a low-life cons shell, holing in Memphis blues joints. I drove. Not for kill, but closure. The Beale Street dive reeked of spilled dreams. He sat stage-side. Face pocked and foreign. But eyes. Those eyes, betraying. Ari, he rasped. Voice gravel. Or Marnie. Come to gloat. We talked till last call. Bourbon untouched. His confession mirrored mine. The affair born of my distance. The swap his panic fix. I thought it'd save us. Delusion. I left him a burner. Evelyn's photo as parting shot. She's the only real thing we made. Don't touch it. Southbound again. The timer reset. Life as hybrid mother. Mentor. Maybe monster. Controversial? Eternally. But in Evelyn's laugh, I heard absolution's whisper. Or damnation's dare. Spring cracked Nashville open like a bad joke. Dogwoods blooming pink against the gray of my doubts. Evelyn's second birthday loomed. A milestone laced with landmines, joint party mandated. Neutral turf, Centennial Park's pavilion. Picnic tables scarred by lovers' initials. I arrived early. Marnie's hands arranging balloons with arthritic care. Tessa hauling coolers of juice boxes and cupcakes. The girl toddled now. Red curls wild. Clutching a stuffed bear I'd sewn from thrift scraps, lopsided, but loved. Mama, she squealed, launching into my legs. My heart clenched. A vice of what-ifs. Lila rolled up fashionably late. SUV gleaming. Evelyn's duplicate wardrobe in tow, organic cotton. Monogrammed. She looked hollowed. My old cheekbones sharp under fatigue. Therapy's toll etching lines. Nice touch, she said, eyeing the bear. Small talk flowed forced, diaper brands. Teething gels. But undercurrents churned, her glances at my scars. The fresh tattoo on my wrist, a clock face frozen at midnight. Symbolic, she probed. Survival, I replied, voice even. The party hummed, Tessa's band jamming acoustic covers. Ruiz grilling veggie dogs with Jamal's old recipes. Kids swarmed. Evelyn the sun. But shadows lurked, paparazzi drones buzzing perimeter. Fans of the saga crashing as aunties. One boldface, a podcaster named Jax, cornered me by the swings. Off record. Was the swap worth it? The kid. The chaos. You wait here. Then leaned in. Chaos births truth. Ask Derek. She lit up. Scenting scoop. Post cake. Lila pulled me aside. Evelyn napping in a stroller. He's out. Bail. Tech Brothers. Derek. Free on house arrest in a Gold Coast condo. Ankle monitor chafing his new skin. Wants a family summit. For her. The offer dangled. Reconciliation's ghost. Evelyn's sake the bait. I search her eyes, my eyes for deceit. Why now? She shrugged. Vulnerable. Because I'm tired of being you. The whispers. The stares. Let's end it. The summit convened in a Wicker Park cafe. Hipster haven with exposed brick and fair trade lattes. Derek waited in a booth. Body a wiry 40-something ex-cons, tats snaking arms. But that smile. Disarming. Ariana. Not Marnie. We ordered black coffee. Evelyn coloring on placemats between us. Awkward beats. Weather. Her milestones. Then the pitch. Therapy cluster. Family counseling. A unified front for the press. We rewrite the narrative, he said. Hand inching toward mine. From villains to victors. I let him talk. Marnie's cough a punctuation. The truth serum of time loosened tongues, his breakout funded by swap alumni. A cabal plotting deregulation, neural tech legalized. Donors playground. Lila nodded. Complicit. It's progress. For Evelyn's world. The twist reversed sharp. They weren't begging redemption. They were recruiting. My exploits had spotlighted the market, black market swaps booming. Clinics franchising. Join or be sidelined. I excused to the restroom. Splashing water on Marnie's face. Staring down the hybrid in the mirror. Join? Reclaim a sliver of power. Co-parent in luxury. Bury the blade. Or burn it all. Orphan the girl in crossfire. Evelyn's laugh echoed from the booth. Decision crystallizing. Back out. I slid a napkin note to Derek. Timer's ticking. 48 hours to dissolve the cabal. Or your donor list hits WikiLeaks. Lila's face fell. Derek's hardened. Blackmail? After everything? Everything, I echoed. Scooping Evelyn. Is what you taught me. The 48 blurred into frenzy. Ruiz mobilized his network. Ex-feds. Hacker kids from Vanderbilt, tracing the cabal's threads, Atlanta to Austin. Neurohubs pulsing with elite egos. I leaked teasers, anonymous drops to ProPublica. Jax's pod, stoking panic. Donors scrambled. Jets fueling for escapes. Lila texted please. Think of the baby. Derek called. Voice cracking. They're destroying us again.
No.
Rebalancing. Deadline dawn. I waited in the brownstone's garden. Ironic. The roses I'd planted pre-swap blooming defiant. They arrived together. Defeated. Derek in sweats. Lila clutching files. It's done, he said. Handing a USB, resignations, clinic shutdowns, restitution to victims like Becca. For her. Evelyn gurgled in my arms. Oblivious judge. We signed a pact. No more tech. Clean slate parenting. Derek's assets liquidated for a trust. Evelyn's. Not ours. Tabloid spun it. Truce in the swap wars. But insiders knew coercion's edge. Controversial calls poured in, Simone cheering, masterstroke, ethicists decrying extortion light. Forums split. Family first, or Frankenstein's folly. Summer deepened. Co-parenting a tightrope. Week-ons alternated. My Nashville chaos of park jams and Tessa's barbecues. Lila structured Chicago with tutors and trusts. Evelyn thrived. Bilingual in accents, my growl. Lila's lilt. But fractures showed. Derek's sidelong glances. Hungry for old fires. Lila's breakdowns. My body rebelling with autoimmune flares. It's you, she'd accuse during drop-offs. Leaking through. Autumn brought harvest of ghosts. A new client surfaced, not music, but memoir, a swap Silicon Valley exec. Mind in a barista's barista, seeking her story's spine. We collabed over Zoom. Her voice Ariana echo. How do you mother from the margins? I shared Evelyn's drawings. The custody hacks. Our book deal landed, ghostwritten. But mine, echoes in borrowed skin. Raw on betrayals blur. Text temptation. Launch party in Nashville's bookstore row. Crowd a mix, survivors. Skeptics. Superfans. Jack's moderated Q&A. Probing. Regrets? I paused. Marnie's hands steady on the podium. Only not sooner. Evelyn toddled on stage. Clutching a copy. Babbling book. Flashbulbs popped. Lila watched from back. Proud? Possessive? Unclear. Post-event. Derek cornered me in the alley, rain slick. Neon bathed like the prompt of my nightmares. You're winning, he said. No bitterness. But the kid. She asks for daddy's run. His new body's limits, lungs wheezy. Heart stuttery. The swap's revenge. Slow burn. I nodded. No gloat. Fix your karma, Derek. Before it fixes you. He left. Shadow merging with night. I drove home. Evelyn asleep in booster. Radio humming Dylan. The times they are a-changin'. Change? Incremental. The cabal dissolved. But shadows spawned startups. Ethical swaps promised. Regulations lagging. My network evolved. Fixers anonymous.
Support pods for the displaced.
Winter whispered endings. Lila's flare-up landed her in ICU, rejection syndrome. Nanites warring. I flew up, Evelyn in tow. The sterile beep a dirge redux. She rallied. Weak smile. Take her.
Full-time.
I can't be you anymore. The gift.
Poisoned.
Derek concurred via video. Do it right. Ari. Custody transfer filed. Judge fast-tracking on best interest. Evelyn's world expanded. Nashville full-time. Visits to a fading Lila. Derek's holograms from rehab. Controversial? Adoptions debated in op-eds. Can a swapped soul parent pure? But in bedtime stories, my voice weaving Ariana's tales with Marnie's grit, I felt whole. Fractured. But forging. The final hook, a letter from Crow. Prison bound. The text immortal. You just delayed the dawn. I burned it. Ashes to the Cumberland. Dawn comes. But I'll meet it standing. The Cumberland's current carried secrets south. My ashes scattered notice speck against the holiday lights twinkling on barges. Nashville's Christmas pulsed commercial, Ryman auditorium carols. Honky-donk Santas hawking eggnog shots, but Mayola's quiet. Evelyn's first snowman in the apartment courtyard. Mittens caked white. Her squeals piercing the chill. Full custody settled like sediment. Lila's convalescence a continent away in a Swiss clinic. Exile funded by the trust. Her body, my body, mending under alpine discretion. Derek's updates sporadic, sobriety chips mailed, a shaky video of him busking blues in Memphis. Voice raw but redeemed. For her, the note read. I filed it with Evelyn's crafts. A mosaic of maybes. Motherhood in Marnie's shell was guerrilla warfare, PDA meetings where I growled through bake sales, playdates dodging what's with the grandma vibe, quips. Tessa's crew filled gaps, Ruiz as gruff uncle. Teaching Evelyn chess with bottle caps, Simone drafting her college fund will. The book tour rant. Echoes climbing charts, Oprah's book club nod. Ironic halo. Readings packed houses, Boston techies probing ethics. LA starlets eyeing swaps for shelf life. Q&A's turn confessional. How's the kid, they'd ask. Thriving, I'd say. Flashing her gap-toothed grin on slides. But offstage. Doubts whispered. Am I enough? Or just a placeholder till Lila rebounds? Spring thawed resolutions. A summit invite pinged, not family, but federal, D.C. roundtable on neural rights. My expertise summoned. I flew coach. Evelyn boarded with Tessa. The Capitol's marble mausoleum swallowing me whole. Suits eyed Marnie's lines askance, but my opener silenced. I've lived the lie. Legislate the truth. Testimony flowed, swap horrors. Victim stats from Ruiz's dossiers. Senators nodded. Bills drafted. Bans on non-consensual transfers. Registries for chimeras like Evelyn. Backlash brewed. Libertarian lobbies crying nanny state. Biohackers vowing underground evolutions. Homecoming gift. Lila's postcard. Swiss postmark. Healing. Evelyn's letters keep me going. Yours, enclosed, a ultrasound echo. Not pregnancy, brain scan. Nanites dormant. Come back. The pole ward. Reclaim the vessel. Co-mother seamless? Or anchor here? Roots in this ragged frame? I mulled over park benches. Evelyn chasing ducks. Her, why sad? Mama, gut punch. Decision brewed in summer swelter. Jax's pod dropped an episode. The Voss Vault, guest crow via smuggled mic, raving manifestos on mind liberation. His cabal remnants stirred. Atlanta ashes reigniting in Austin labs. Ruiz alerted. A youth summit masking swap expo. Derek's blues contacts fingering him as MC. The convergence. Family.
Foes. Fate.
I rallied the network, Tessa on logistics, Simone on legals, Becca now a activist firebrand wiring allies. Road trip redux, Evelyn and Booster, singing off-key to Taylor. The I-65 of Vane to Vengeance's heart. Austin's heat-baked, South by Southwest ghosts haunting the convention center, badges for Neurofest, panels on eternal self. Derek emceed opener. Voice amplified, from broken to boundless. His eyes met mine in the crowd, recognition. Regret. Backstage breach, security lax. Insider tip. I confronted mid-intermission. Evelyn hidden with Becca. End it, I said. USB of his donor ties dangling. Or Evelyn learns grandpa's a ghoul. He deflated. New body's frailty showing. Tremor in hands. Wheeze in breath. I fixed it.
Ari.
For us.
Lies.
The expo's underbelly crawled. Demo pods humming. Elites queuing for tries. The move. Hack cascade. My laptop pinging Ruiz's virus. Screens glitching to victim reels. Becca's and Marlene's testifying silent. Panic-locked halls. But I held the abort. One code to wipe servers. Stop the $100,000 initiation fees mid-transfer. A crow's voice boomed pre-recorded. Rise. Immortals, but my whisper overrode. Fall. Fed swarmed, my tip. Timed perfect. Derek cuffed on stage. Confession spilling. It was for more time. With her. Evelyn. Carted safe by Tessa. Lila's call post-chaos. I saw the feed. End this cycle. Keep her. The gift. Final. Fallout fractured. Bans passed. Cabals crumbled. But debates eternal. Text Pandora. Or progress. My book's sequel greenlit. Evelyn's doodles as cover art. We settled deeper. Nashville school. My tenure at community college. Ethics prof. Ironies abounding. Lila visited once. Frail in wheelchair. Evelyn's hug bridging the gulf. Be you, she whispered, handing keys to the brownstone empty. Waiting. No return. I sold it. Funds to the trust. Derek's sentence, life. Swapped back to his wreck for poetic justice. Crow's pod burned in a raid. Ashes literal. Evelyn's 5th birthday. Park bash. Cake smeared on cheeks. Love you. Mama all, she beamed. Hybrid name.
Perfect.
Controversial ending? Pick your lens. Biopic villain. Or Phoenix mom. I choose the gray. The grit that built us. The timer stopped cold. Not in panic.
But peace.
They locked me out once.
Now.
I hold the key. And the door? Wide open.